right, good morning everybody. It's Bart at High Tech Motorsport. I'm working on my stick control with my camera, holding it back, up, down, sideways. Most people like to see a little higher so they can see what's going on. So I'm going to check in today with Chopper on the 55. He's also working on that 37 Ford because we had to take the running boards off. They had some holes in them from where the exhaust was, and we worked on those and shot them with paint, put 3 coats of that orange tangerine stuff from House of Color. And it was a little bit light, so we have to take them off and re-scrub them up again and shoot it with another couple 3, so it matches perfectly. As you're looking around section 2 here, this is my area where we put all the cars waiting to be worked on. We've got GTOs back in. The judge here is getting some transmission upgrades and stuff. That Challenger there, that's got a supercharger on it. That's getting a few little tweaks, go a little faster. Camaro's getting a charge, you know about that. This little GTO's got a few little things to do after we fixed it. Guy managed to break the gas pedal, which is kind of amazing. The other stuff, the green Corvette's getting some new wheels and some other stuff, and I let my customers keep a few things here over the winter time just in storage, but we've got quite a bit of stuff to do here. Really cool old blue pickup truck. That's a 6-cylinder original truck. Pretty interesting stuff, but drives sweet. A lot of fun to drive them around. 3-speed, for God's sakes. 3-speed on the floor. That always confuses me. Check in on Chopper, see what he's doing. I always love to surprise him because I don't think he's naked. Oh, there's Chopper. So he's working on making something for the paint booth or whatever you're doing, or he's cutting a big piece into a little piece.
Remodeling.
We're remodeling, he says. Put this door in to make the booth here so we can get cars in and out. It used to be an engine building area for the import guys. I have them here.
After I sanded it clear off, they almost look darker, don't they?
They do.
But they're not.
Yeah, so this is what Chopper did here. We took these, that's the 37. We've been working on the body and putting sound matting in and fixing a bunch of stuff that the other shops had problems with. You know, we put the exhaust on it and got it all back to where it's supposed to be. And these had holes in the sides of the boards for the exhaust. Chopper put those all together. We had some cracks in the doors. We've got more soundproofing in it again. Here's the frame for the 55. Here's the body on the rotisserie. It's all ready to go. Chopper, tell us what you've done in the last, well, it's been probably a couple weeks since we filmed, maybe a little longer.
What we've done is we put the front toe board and foot boards were all rusted out. They've been replaced completely at the factory seams, and we're going to be body working all of this down here because it's going to be a show car. We're plugging all the holes in the firewall. You can show them there, Bart. I've made templates to fit each and every hole to plug weld, and once they're all plug welded in and butt welded, then they'll all be finished off, and it'll be a nice smooth painted black.
Okay, explain to everybody what butt welding and toe welding and...
Okay, butt welding is if you have a hole such as this panel right here. I'm going to point it out. This panel has got a 32nd of an inch or a 64th of an inch gap. So when I weld, my weld is going to be even with my 2 panels. Then all I've got to do is come back with a die grinder, dress the weld without grinding away any sheet metal. That's the proper way to patch in a hole. You can't overlap and weld it because it's not smooth, it won't be straight, and you'll warp the living heck out of your sheet metal. This is the proper, correct way to do so.
Okay, so that's the, which weld is that then?
This is butt weld.
Okay, what's a toe weld?
Toe weld, I call them a toe weld when you take 2 thicker sheets of pieces of metal and you have to grind them at an angle. You grind the edges at an angle, so it's like this, and then you start running your welds. You'll run a weld down the center, then you'll overlap half of that weld with another weld, overlap the other half of that weld until you bring them level. But that's on very thick material like 1/2 inch, 1 inch stuff. This isn't. This is all 18 to 14 gauge sheet metal. So this is all butt welding. Every one of these are all butt welded. So when they're finished, one smooth sheet.
Never fails, right? Phone rings all the time.
Yes, and it's very time-consuming work.
Yep, answering the phone's a bastard. Yep, that's true.
Choppers. Yes, Joe. Awesome. I'll be up there right around noon and pick it up. Thank you. Get my painters in for the 37.
Okay. Now, as I was just talking about, we put 3 coats, or Chopper put 3 coats of the orange that was supposed to come on this car, and it turned out to be a white by just a little bit when we matched up the paint.
The issue with this paint, it's translucent. Basically, as politicians say, transparency. So the more you put on, the darker it becomes. Whoever painted this car before, I don't know if they put 9 coats on, 12 coats. I don't know how many coats of paint they put on this car. So at this point in time, I have 3, and I'm out of paint. I have got to continue to add paint to these running boards to get them visually as close as possible to that shade that's on the car. And when I say shade, I mean dark or light. So it is the correct color, it matches perfect, but it's too light. So we need to add more to it. We don't want to tone it, we just want to build the paint deeper. Because underneath this paint is a white primer. And when I say primer, primer sealer. So that this color being so translucent, that white may be showing through and keeping us lighter than what we want to be. So I've probably got to put another 6 coats of paint on these running boards to darken them down like the body.
All right, tell everybody the process of what you did on these. Now, these are fiberglass running boards.
Okay. These running boards had a hole in the side, right in here. I filled that hole with fiberglass matting and resin until the material was higher than what the board was. Once it cured, then I block sanded it down so I had a smooth, straight running board. Then from that point on, a very thin coat of polyester glaze putty was put on, and that was sanded. And the reason that was put on was to fill the sand scratches. Polyester does not shrink. Once it cures, it's done. That's it. So with polyester, then you come back with a polyester primer. You put it on the running boards, 3 coats. You mist them with a flat black. Then you sand them. That's called guide coat sanding. Take all the waves and the ripples and any issues that may be in these boards or was in these boards. It helps block it out so you know the board is nice and straight, level. That's basically what you want, is level and straight. So then I come back with a final sand of 600 grit, clean them, then I lay down a white primer sealer. Give that 3.5 hours dry time, then come back with your translucent color. And you gotta, like I say again, build the color till you get the shade that you want. Shade means light or dark. So that's the process we're in right now. I did put 3 coats and I cleared to see what it was gonna be like, and they're too light. So we've got to more paint. So basically these 2 running boards are taking almost 2 quarts of paint. And the reason it's taking so much, because again, they're translucent. It's like water, you can see through it almost, so that's why it takes so much.
Now, is this the same process that people would use if they were going to do some fiberglass repair on Corvette?
Yes,
okay.
Yes,
Or
they're absolutely the same. And everything you use on fiberglass, you want to use a polyester and use a urethane-based type paint and clear. I use urethanes because I put no solvents in them. Strictly, I have the paint, I have the catalyst. Solvents, reducers, thinners, what a solvent does is solvent will penetrate all the way down to your bodywork, to the very base before it comes back up out of the product to evaporate. If you bury a solvent, the longer that solvent is trapped, the more damage it can possibly do to your material. So I do not use any solvent-based product.
Okay. Now we're going to have half a gallon of paint in this plus the...
Yes.
Okay. Now, just so you folks know, paint prices have gone up astronomically in the last few years. They've gotten better and better. They've got some amazing quality stuff out there. But tell them how much those 2 quarts, half a gallon cost.
This paint was almost $300 a quart.
There you go.
It's a tangible pearl, and you need to stay with the same company that you buy a pearl from. You want basically a factory pack, as they call them, when you buy it directly from the company. And pray to God that whoever mixed it put the same amount of pearl in the first coat, or in the first quart, as they do the second quart. In other words, if your pearl's not correct, well, now you have issues of time and trying to get it back into the same shade, same color.
And then you've got the catalyst on top of it, plus you've got your sealers. So realistically, it's going to be $600 in...
No, you're going to be between the white sealer primer, the catalyst for the primer, the paint, the catalyst for the paint, your clear catalyst. Just in your sprayable materials alone, you're going to be roughly $1,150.
Okay.
That's in your sprayable materials alone. Now you have not covered your shop supplies, your fiberglass, your matting, your resin, your sandpapers, and your basic primer. So you haven't covered any of that yet. So again, when somebody says, oh, I got a buddy that would do them running boards for $500. No. They don't know what they're talking about. Price the material, and then you're going to see why you're charged what you're charged at a body shop to do this kind of work. And again, do you want it right, or do you want it, well, just hurry up so I can drive the car? Well, I don't do that kind of work. If it's not done right, I don't want to touch it. Don't waste my time. Time is quality. Let's always remember that. It's like go to McDonald's, buy a hamburger, or go down to the steakhouse and have a good steak. One takes longer than the other, one tastes far better than the other, and one makes you happier than the other. So, same here.
I'd like to say, though, just for the record, that McDonald's is awesome, and so is, McDonald's is awesome. Don't need anybody from McDonald's showing up with the black limousines looking to kick our asses. I'm just not. I'm too old for that stuff now. Chopper would do it, but I have no desire whatsoever. So anyway, let's go over the 55 and what you're going to do on that as far as what you're going to do for color and sealing or everything else.
The 55 Buick, when it's all said and done, as you can see now, here's another butt weld that I did. This here was a hole in the floor, and there used to be a heater underneath this floor that went up through the hole and heated the bottom of the driver's seat. It was a hot water heater. So, but this is a finished butt weld right here. So what we're going to do is, again, the whole bottom of this car, all holes are going to be welded, all seams are going to be welded, finished off, body worked, and it's going to be painted black. The car itself is going to be black. So it has to be perfectly straight. It's going to be a show car. And anybody who's done this sort of work knows if you want black, it's going to take a lot of sanding, a lot of effort, a lot of time. There is some work here that has to be undone. I did not do it. The previous body shop welded a panel in here and they overlapped it. They lap welded. You don't want to do that with sheet metal. Again, always butt weld. And then I have rust here that they filled with Bondo. Since how we found this is we sent the car out and had the car stripped with a fine media. So again, all of this has to be cut out, has to be done correctly. That's just how we do things here. Let's do it right. Let's do it the first time, one time. It costs more, but the owner's happier.
So when you get it all done then, when you get all your welding and stuff, we're still talking about weeks to go yet. What do you want to do as far as paint, whatever stages you're going to do, so these guys have an idea what they can, and ladies, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to cut the ladies out of this situation, but what are you going to do as far as layers of everything, sanding in between? Give them a rundown.
Once all the metal work is done, then I would be doing the body work. And yes, I don't care who it is. Everybody uses a little bit of body filler. But the more work and time that you put into your sheet metal, far less body filler you're going to use. When I'm done, I'll use just a skim coat, different spots on the car, block it out, and then the car will be 3 coats of polyester primer. I let it sit 24 hours. I come back and I mist it with a flat black. That misting is called guide coat. Then the car will be hand sanded with sanding boards anywhere from 2 to 3 feet long. It's a long quarter panel, long rockers, so the longer your board is, and if you sand right, the straighter the car is going to become. That's going to be done 3 times before I would even be happy that this car is perfectly straight. Once that's done, I have got the doors. Those doors have to be fitted to the car. The gaps have got to be absolutely identical all the way around, nice and even. So again, there's a long process. If you got too wide a gap, I take 1/8 inch round stock, solid round stock, and I actually weld both sides of that to the edge of the door. Replace, fit the door, and I will hand file that round stock until I have a perfect gap all the way around the door. Very time consuming again, show quality work. So it's not collision work like, hurry up, get it done, I got to drive the car to work on Friday. So again, a lot of metal work. Front fenders have to be fitted, the deck lid has to be fitted, everything has to be fitted, and all gaps have to be the same. If you've got a 1/4 inch gap or a 3/16 gap around your doors, you have to have the same around your hood, you have to have the same on your fenders, you have to have the same around your deck lid. That makes a show car. Be prepared to spend a lot of money.
So that means when you guys go to your next car show, you can look at people's cars. Now this, don't include survivor cars. I put a comment up, but I love survivor cars because that's the way they actually came from the factory. Do not include survivor cars in this thought process. But when somebody says they have a frame-off restoration, check the gaps in their doors. Look underneath the car. Look for anything where a guy got cheap, wanted to get in a hurry and get stuff done. For good news or bad, you guys are learning a lot about this stuff so that you will know when you go to purchase your next hot rod how much the guy did and how talented the guy that did it, or woman, was that did the information or did the work. Now, one thing that I tried when I was a kid, this goes back a long time ago, I tried shrinking metal with torches and tried heating up stuff and quenching it. I sucked at it. The panel was worse when I got done. But I'm going to see if Chopper's going to do some of that stuff because that's a lost art. He's not going to be doing lead body filler, I don't think.
Yes, I will. I'll be doing a little bit of lead work.
Okay, so when they had the old saying, the lead sled, back in the 50s, that's because they used to use molten lead for his body filler before they had the plastics that they use nowadays. So we'll make sure we film all that stuff, but I want to give you an idea of what we're going to do, and we're going to keep churning away. But that lead work and shrinking a body panel with heat and quenching it with water and stuff, it's amazing stuff when you watch somebody do it that can do it. It's also amazing when you watch somebody like me who tried to do it, because nothing happens good after that. That's why I don't do body work. I work on motors. I understand those. But anyway, we're going to see. What else you want to talk about, Chopper?
Let's take a look at some gaps. Let's give these people some ideas of gaps.
Okay.
Now, this car was built by some other company down in South Carolina. How long ago, I don't know. But if you look at this gap, it is absolutely horrible. Horrible. The doors don't fit the car right. The gaps are just, it's just terrible. okay? But the owner doesn't want to spend the money for me to come in and correct all of this, which is very extensive. So therefore, this is what they're living with. I wouldn't live with it. I couldn't live with it. And I pray to God that anybody out there that really wants a beautiful car would not live with that kind of work. But again, all I'm doing is I'm fixing a pair of running boards for the people, and they're going to look better than the rest of the car.
Okay, so we should point something out here. This, the guy who owns this car, great guy, he bought this car because, man, this thing in orange really pops. I mean, you look at it, it's sexy as all get out. It just, the drivability was a little bit off. We fixed a whole bunch of stuff. But we've been working on this car, cleaning it all up, putting sound deadener in, making sure it didn't leak air all over the place. And this is a plastic bodied car. This is a fiberglass car. So when they make the molds, they weren't nearly as good as the actual 37 Ford or anybody else's metal cars. The fiberglass is just not quite as, it can be really good, but it takes a lot of attention to detail.
There are companies out there, Bart, that make good quality fiberglass reproduction. Outlaw, Gibbons, they both make real good bodies.
Okay.
This company here is out of business. This car is an example why that company is out of business 10 years ago.
All right, so let's talk about, you want to talk about the frame, what you did on that?
The frame, the frame has been sandblasted and primered, but prior to that, I had to make all the body mounts to match the frame, match the body, weld them all in, and basically build my transmission mount, my engine mount system for it. And I've already had the frame completely together. We call a rolling chassis with the 632 with the 480 LE tranny case behind it. So everything has been test fitted. This frame is ready now that once I get the belly of that car finished, I'm going to mount the body back on the frame properly, all mounts tight, everything like it should be, so I can finish out the metal work. Anytime you take a door off, the body off, fender off, hood off, they all change shape. And what I mean by shape is they change from the stress that they have on the car to just relax. And so you cannot do the body work and the metal work on sheet metal that you have to bolt to the body. It's going to change as you bolt it. As far as stress, it could tweak it one way or the other. So it has to be done on the car like it was never going to come off again.
And this has got the first couple, 3 coats of primer on it just to keep it from rusting and everything else?
I had the frame, again, medium blasted when I got all my welds done and dressed all the welds. I took and I had the frame medium blasted, then I hand sanded it, washed it with a solvent base, and then I came back and metal etch primered the frame. So she's not going to rust. It will be painted black acrylic urethane, this frame will be.
Okay. So you can see that when this car goes in the show circuit, we'll take all, of course, pictures of this thing all the way through it, so you guys can learn if you want to do it yourself when you've got extra time besides working and having kids and a dog and a life. You can do this if you want to in your own garage. Helps if you've got a couple hoists and you got lots of room. You're definitely going to need a bead blaster. But when this car goes on the show circuit, I'll make sure that we give you guys a list of where it's going to be. And that way you guys can go take a look at Chopper's work. I'm sure the customer's going to be all over taking the thing to all kinds of different really high-end shows all over the country. It'll be in magazines too, obviously. But that the only way to really experience it is to get right up next to it, get a set of reading glasses and a flashlight, and you look all over the car. Don't touch it because everybody gets freaked out about that. But take a look at the gaps, take a look at where everything's at, everything. Critique the whole thing, and then send me an email. I'll send it to Chopper.
We will show them in the process what to do and what not to do.
Okay.
I will explain what not to do. I'm not going to do what not to do just to educate somebody.
All right. So we got the trunk lid over there. That gets the same process. That'll all be hand sanded and gone through, all these parts are off. Now remember, how many times will this car and frame be put together before the final assembly?
5 times.
5 times, all right.
Yep.
That way everything fits correctly, we don't have any
Right.
problems, the whole deal. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you see, it's not just a 2-week type deal. It's pretty intensive, but we'll get through it all, and we'll let him get back to work, finishing up this 37, and then we'll put him back on the Buick. So thanks for tuning in. See ya.